What's up, spiritual gangsters? This your OGs,
Trace,
and Rain. Welcome to another episode of Trybe Vibes.
So let's get into it.
All right. We are diving into the topic of gratitude.
Yes, gratitude. This is going to be a month-long series of various podcasts where we're going to discuss gratitude.
I know when you hear that, it sounds pretty simple. Like, okay, just be grateful. But there are different aspects that we want to touch on because it's a lot deeper than it seems. Like, what it really means, how it affects our perspective, our desire, and maybe we're going to get into how to stay grateful when niggas is wildin'. I mean, in bad times. Same difference.
People wilding and in bad times.
Exactly.
I would say you're the one who actually picked this topic, and yes. I remember when you picked this topic, I was like, "Bitch, why the fuck you want to talk about gratitude? Just be grateful. We all know."
Never let me be great.
I'm like, we all know. All you got to do is just be grateful, give and give it back to you, and move on with your life. Like, you know. But I didn't realize.
It's a lot deeper. I think everybody will come to see that it's a choice. It's a mindset. You know, there's a lot more involved to it. Easier said than done.
I didn't realize gratitude was like a multi-dimensional topic. Okay. So I appreciate.
I'm deeper than you
this
think.
Conversation.
Okay, I always come and you always have the simple shit, but when you really sit and think about it, you're like, oh, wait a minute. She's a genius. You heard it here.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm a genius.
So I guess the best way to really start off this podcast is to just quote Psalms 118:24, which reads, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it."
Oh, that's another one. It sounds pretty simple, right?
It's pretty simple. We've all heard this before, you know, especially if you grew up in a Christian church. And what I want to do is, when we're all done with this series, I'm going to say this again, and we're going to see how different it hits us.
Well, yeah, we'll do a circle back to see if we actually feel any different about that.
Right.
But we have the actual definition of gratitude. It's pretty simple, but it is the quality of being thankful and readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. I think the definition, once you read that, you can see the different layers of it, because you have to be ready to accept and appreciate what you're given. And that's not always easy.
Yeah, the Oxford Dictionary expands to say it's being thankful, pleased, or relieved. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting, the relieved part.
How do you think that works out, relieved?
Well, I guess you're relieved because you feel grateful, so you're lifting something off of your shoulders.
Ah, okay.
You know,
like if you're thirsty and get water, you're grateful for the water because it
relieve you,
satisfied an area. Okay, I get it. I guess.
So let's get right into our first topic. So this particular podcast, we're going to talk about the relationship between desire and gratitude. So I want to start it off by this article by Joseph Rea. It was in the Christian Living website. The article is called "Gratitude is Hard to Do." He starts off by talking about St. Augustine, who was a notable bishop, theologian, philosopher of Christianity around like 300, 400 AD. And he said, "Thou hast made us for thyself, O God, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee." That's how he starts off the article. And I feel like that was a powerful way to start off the article, because basically with that relationship that we have restlessly like towards God creates desire.
Yep. Anytime we go to God or whatever higher power, there's usually always a list in our minds of what we think we need in order to be happy or fulfilled.
But right? I feel like more so also, he's trying to say that the whole path in life, like we're yearning to rest in thee and with you, to kind of like be reconnected.
Okay, yeah.
And that creates restlessness in our hearts, which can be viewed as desire. And like for instance, like some people like fill themselves up with things that they think is going to satisfy them, but they don't. Mm-hmm. So I feel like St. Augustine was making a point, like the restlessness comes from the desire to rest in God.
It's not physical things.
Right, exactly.
Which is like a constant lesson that we learn in almost all of our topics. It's like right. This physical world is not really where it's at. There's so
it's like
much
we
more.
Keep filling ourselves up with like food or sex or relationships or whatever, and it's never enough. So we just keep going on in our desires and getting and indulging more and more in everything.
I like that.
Because we never quite feel at peace.
What does the article get into after that quote?
So he continues on to say that God gave us an appetite of desire to see and savor his infinite internal presence. Ingratitude comes when we try to satisfy this hunger for God with blatantly sinful desires or too much of our basic needs. Somewhere in our hearts, maybe on a level we're not consciously aware of, we convince ourselves that whatever created thing we lack, whether it be health, popularity, or pleasure, will satisfy us if we can just get a little more of it. So it's like we're basically made up, and a lot of religions say this, like we're made up with like a baseline of desire, both consciously and subconsciously, and it's up to us to choose how we react to that desire. Some people may go on, down the rabbit hole of, overindulging into things. And he goes on and he continues to discuss it and just says like gratitude is elusive because we're easily duped into thinking that the eternal hunger can be satisfied with temporal things.
I think, is that basically saying like you should be grateful for what you have instead of constantly seeking more?
Exactly.
Okay, that's where the
I think it's describing the feelings we have that creates ingratitude and showing us the reasons why being grateful is a good virtue to have. Yeah,
because if you are really appreciative of what you have in front of you, you start to look a little less and less at things that you don't have. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're at a buffet and you see all the options, but you can only fit so much on your plate.
Right.
So you have to deal with what's in front of you and appreciate what you have before you basically try to get greedy into more.
I think it just more so pins point on the fact that you're always going to have these feelings of desire. Like desire does not go away.
No, it's human nature.
So it's like, I think it was just a way to describe the feeling of desire and what it leads us to, which is ingratitude. Because you'll never be satisfied. You're always going to think like a little more or a little better, and you'll be satisfied. And the road just leads you to indulging in access and opens you up to more sinful desires, all the way down the rabbit hole to doing fuck shit. And it speaks to our culture, like American culture, capitalism, keeping up with it's not Jones anymore, it's the Kardashians.
Oh, Lord.
HGTV, advertisements. It's like just the effect of all of it.
Like, yeah, you need this one thing and then your life will be better. That makes you ungrateful for what you have. But like, okay, let's look at this as a more practical, application. Like, after reading that article, is there anything in your life that you realize that was causing you to be ungrateful because of desires? Like, have you felt that or?
Well, I kind of always feel like I'm behind in life, always. Like that's like a constant thought in my head. So I guess it does play into that because I'm thinking, oh, I just need to do a little more, be a little more. But I've grown so much over the course of my whole life and I have achieved a lot, but it's like, it's not enough for me. It's like I want more and I want more and I want more. So it does speak to me. And especially like young people today in society, it's like, I don't know about everybody else, but I just always feel like it's a rat race. Like just when you thought that you've made it or you can sit back and be comfortable and be okay, there's like something else thrown in your path that you feel like you need to do more and be more and accomplish more. So yeah, it does play into desires and being having ingratitude.
Yeah. It's like you keep the goal line keeps getting pushed back.
Right. And I think
it does have to do with society because it's like that hustle mentality. You're like, okay, I have $100, turn it into 500, turn it into 2,000, turn it into $1 million. And
now we billion.
We have so much billionaires and we have trillionaires like that.
Who a trillionaire?
Huh?
Who a trillionaire?
Isn't Bezos a trillionaire?
Is he?
Isn't he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's the world's first trillionaire.
When did that happen?
I don't know, nigga. Google it.
I feel like I live under a fucking rock sometimes.
Yeah, because when the pandemic hit, everybody was ordering from Amazon.
Jeff Bezos. Trillionaire.
Please hold for this research.
I know, please hold. No, he's not a trillionaire.
Oh. Who's a trillionaire? Somebody is. Is he almost a trillionaire?
Remember, he just got a divorce.
Oh yeah, that significantly lowered his net worth. All right.
And he gave his wife, I think, like $38 billion.
Yeah.
They're saying that Elon Musk is gonna be. They said he's the world's richest person. He has $241 billion, and they believe he's going to be the first trillionaire.
Anyway, these rich niggas. I digress. Society builds up, the fact that hunger. You got to stay hungry. You got to stay hungry. That's a mentality.
You got to be out here in these streets hustling.
Yeah, I mean,
going
on the
hard.
one hand, it's good to want things for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Right. We're not saying just like be a bum nigga and just be satisfied with not achieving anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like just have goals, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that what you have is also important. Like I saw this thing where it's like, don't ever get to the point where you finally reach the place that you've been trying to reach, and you don't celebrate the fact that that's what you prayed for. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you finally reached that level that you were praying. Like, okay, I finally, I'm a manager now, and it's like, okay, now I want to be CEO. Like, stop for a minute and be like, you know what? I prayed for this. Let me live in this blessing. I'm thankful for everything that brought me here, but you can also still want more for yourself. I don't know. It's nuanced.
I do think that realizing that the hunger will always be in you, no matter what, is a good first step in realization, and it can draw you back to gratitude. Like realizing that the hunger is never ending kind of stops you in your tracks to be like, the hunger is always going to be there. The desire is always going to be there. So I have to be grateful. What I have is enough. And if I get more, cool.
Oh, is that kind of like nature versus nurture? Like I'm always going to want more, but I do have to stop and actively appreciate what I do have.
How is that nature versus nurture?
Because hunger, you said, is natural. It comes to you. It's all in us. It's part of humanity. It's part of being human.
Like the desire is nature?
Right.
And what is the nurture?
The nurture is you basically teaching yourself to be appreciative of what you do have in front of you.
Oh, and being grateful.
Yeah, and not like
Okay, break it down.
I have thoughts sometimes, okay?
This guy, Roy T. Bennett, he said, be grateful for what you already have while you pursue your goals. If you aren't grateful for what you already have, what makes you think you will be happier with more? And that's basically everything that we just said.
Yeah. That wraps it up.
And then I just want to end off this part with talking about the Dalai Lama.
I love him.
I know. The Dalai Lama says that gratitude is a way of embracing reality instead of fighting it. It is being present with whatever is here right now. In any moment, you can find good enough reasons to be satisfied with now. The goalpost is forever moving. We spend so much of our time on desire that we miss the beauty and the pleasure of now. I know, isn't that so nice? Because it's kind of like wrapping up everything we said. Basically, the fact that you're always going to have desire, but don't let that desire stop you from appreciating the moment that you have with everything around you now.
So I know we usually end with like mantras or prayers, but like, how about we end with like a promise to ourselves or something to keep us grateful? Did you want to do like a mantra or?
No, expand.
That was it. Hold on.
Yeah, but what is it like? You said it for me to figure it out.
Specifically, now that you agree, specifically, I see a mantra here, but a promise to ourselves, like, okay, realistically, I am like what you said, where I feel like I'm always behind. So even if it's like once a day, if I'm doing anything that's like positive, if I'm like feeding myself, if I'm eating, I can be grateful for the chance to nourish my body. I can be grateful for the chance, like, thank God I was able to get a house. Like, I can sit in my backyard and be like, I prayed for this moment. Yes, I'm trying to fix it up and do all that shit, and I want more for myself, of course, naturally, but in just any 2 seconds that I feel calm or peace, I want to try.
You know what? I did have a moment like that the other day. The other day, I was like sitting outside my house, and I was just like, because I have so many issues. Like, I have mold in my backyard, and this isn't done, and that isn't done, and everything just kind of overwhelmed me, and I started feeling like really anxious, like, oh my God, like I have all this responsibility and I don't know where to start, and I feel all the weight on my shoulders. And in that, I was like desiring more money and desiring this and desiring that to kind of fix all my problems. But I had to take a moment and just like take a deep breath and just say, I'm doing the damn thing.
Yes,
like,
the fuck you are.
I'm all right. Like, I'm buying shit. Like, I'm decorating. Like, I'm getting everything together. I brought a rug. Like, I had to just sit and like appreciate what I have done and say that was enough for now. And I kind of had to just cast away all my other reservations that I had with all the desires that were running around in my head for the things that I thought I needed. And I just had to tell them, like the desires, I had to tell the desires, we can do that tomorrow. We can put you in a box that I can think about next month. Sometimes you just have to like pick, what is more pertinent to do right now and just focus on that. And let everything else just fall off your shoulders and be grateful that you have the opportunity to have another day to accomplish your goals and do the things that you need to do with your life or that you want to do with your life. Amen. So I guess that's the promise that I have to myself, to whenever I feel like my desires are taking control and leading my life and stressing me the fuck out, just to like take a breath and think about the things I have and be grateful. Because if I'm happy now with what I have, I will be happy with more. So, Yeah. At the end of the day, hope you got something out of this.
Remember, we are experts of nothing. We just out here in these streets.
We learn from you just as you learn from us because we already tried.
Until next time.
Continue to vibe.
Hey.